Okay, I'd like to call the September meeting of the Tellico Village Property Owners Meeting Association to order. I'd like to welcome all the property owners that are in attendance, as well as all those that are joining us via live stream. As we go through the meeting, if there's any questions or comments that you have, we have a microphone here in the center, so please utilize that so that the people that are watching online can hear you. With that, I'd like to start the meeting off by approving the minutes from the last meeting. So can I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes as written, please raise your right hand.
And I recuse because I wasn't here.
So the vote is 5-0, and Rick wasn't here, so he's recused. The next item I'd like to bring up is introduction of our new CEO. So some of you have met Mr. Chet Pillsbury prior to the meeting, but I'm going to turn the floor over to him to provide a little background on himself, and we all, as the board, would like to welcome Chet to the team. Chet.
Thank you very much.
Chet, turn your mic.
I am, there we go, I'm back online. I am happy, very happy actually, to be here in Tellico Village. Many of you have said how much you enjoy living here, and I've only lived here for 2 weeks as opposed to 20 years that some of you have been living here, and I love it already, so I get it. I understand why you like living here. I have been in the property management and community management business for yeah, a long time. And I have enjoyed it and still enjoy it, and it is something that I do because I enjoy it. I am one of those people who, if I don't like it, I don't do it. So this is one of the things that I love doing, and I enjoy it. I come from Middle Georgia. My wife was actually born and raised there. I'm actually a Florida cracker, to use a colloquialism of the Floridians. My family's lived there since 1840. To just throw out a moment of history, my great-grandfather used to sail out every night and light the lanterns for the channel markers in Tampa Bay. So I've been here, my family's been there a while. The reason that I took this job, because many of you may not know that I was gainfully employed before now, and actually had a job, wasn't looking for a job, and was called on by the search process. And one of the reasons that I made the decision to come was, number one, the people that I got to interview with, the board, and number two, the amazing community that is already here. And not that it matters, but I'd like to give a shout out to my predecessor who has laid the groundwork over his career here to make this such a wonderful place to live. And I appreciate all the things that Winston has brought to the table over the years and that he has shared with me since I've been here. So I think you're in good hands, and I hope that I can pick up the ball and run with it as he has, and do a great job for you all. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right, thanks, Chet. Okay, with that, we'll move on down the agenda, and we have certification of board candidates. Jessica.
We met this morning with the nominating and election committee, and at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Pat White, who is the chair of the nominating committee.
Thank you. We have 2 items to cover. The committee was made up of myself, John, and Bob. And we met this morning. The 2 recommendations that we make is, first, we have the choice to recommend or appoint additional candidates above and beyond the ones that applied. We're not going to make that recommendation. So the number of candidates, as you read, it stands. And then we then accept the recommendation of the POA Board's nominating committee as to the board candidate sufficiency. I ask for that motion and vote.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept this as the slate of board candidates.
No, to approve their report, which was not to advance further candidates. Certification comes later.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
To approve the report
Yep,
that Pat just provided.
that's right.
All right. Thank you. Is there any discussion on that?
No.
All right, all in favor? All right, 6-0. Thank you. Thanks for the correction, Rick. I'll be sure we do this right.
And at this time, I would like it to turn it over to Rick Blau, which is the chair of the election committee.
Yes, as chair of the election committee, I serve with Bob Brunetti. We had a quorum this morning, just the two of us. The third member of our committee cannot vote because he is technically a candidate. And the board does not allow candidates to be on those committees. There were 5 candidates for 3 open positions, and we basically certified all 5 candidates. Those candidates are David Bennett, Donald Hart, Marty Inkrot, John Orr, and Steve Schneider. And that would be our recommendation. Well, not recommendation, but we've certified those candidates, so those are the candidates for the board. In addition, the election committee also makes a decision based on whether the POA will vote the POA-owned lots. And so I would, we talked about it in the meeting this morning. We approved the following motion 2-0, and I submit this motion to the board. To approve the recommendation of the POA Board's Election Committee to not vote the POA-owned lots, including those acquired from CCI in the 2022 board election.
Do I have a second? Pat? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to not vote the POA-owned lots, including the lots acquired from CCI. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Raise your right hand. 6-0.
Thank you, Justin.
That concludes the report of the 2 committees.
All right, thank you. Next, we have an update on the Tanasi Clubhouse fire. Mitzi.
Let's get this over here, sorry. Thank you, Mr. President. What I want to do today is just kind of give you an update on what has taken place since the fire and where we go from here. Since the fire, actually the very next day on Sunday, many of you know the golf department and the IT department and the public works department were all out there getting things in place so that we didn't lose any of our golf activity. In the meantime, there were several of us meeting with claims adjusters, a salvage company, an attorney that they sent out, a fire analysis, the fire department chief here, Jerry Daugherty was there, as well as the Loudoun County criminal investigator. And since then, we have done walkthroughs with several other fire investigators, as well as late as yesterday, an engineering structural engineer came out from South Carolina to do a walkthrough. And just 2 hours ago, I received an additional email from one of the gentlemen that Selective Insurance Company is sending out, and he has told me that they think the last and final walkthrough will be September the 30th. Clayton and I will go out there and meet with them at that time, and then hopefully we will get the green light to at least go ahead and demo what's there now, just so that, you know, we can kind of, we've got a selection team. I'm going to talk about that shortly, a restoration team, and hopefully that will give us better vision. And for those of you who have also been giving input, but just to see that land and what it's going to look like back at its natural state, to kind of know what it is that we want to put back in that spot. The other things that I wanted to mention, as of yesterday, let me see, I think I've got a slide on this. Yes, you all may have seen this in the telegram, but we did put together a restoration committee, and that committee met yesterday. You'll see on there who the attendees were, and the members are our new CEO, Chet Pillsbury, myself, Beth Kaburka, Chris Sachs, Clayton Taylor, Kevin Alfont was there, our IT manager, to give us kind of a update on where we are as far as the golf carts go that are there now, and if we put in some temporary buildings, what can be done. As well as our 2 board member representatives. We have Marty Inkrot, and we have Pat White. And then for the food service portion of that meeting, Andy Fox was there. And so what our objectives were from yesterday's meeting, if you didn't read the telegram, I won't make you read it now, but the main thing was, what are we going to do right now? We want to make sure we have some temporary / medium to long-term buildings that are temporary that can be moved and maybe repurposed later on. So we got that in place. We actually have a building ordered for Chris to store his carts. Andy Fox's initiatives were to go back and look at some food truck options or some temporary buildings. And then our golf department will be looking for a temporary building, maybe similar to the trailer that we had, the mobile home looking. You know what that was. I don't want to, everybody's making faces at me. But we used it at TOPA, and it worked out great because we repurposed it, and now we're using it at the Public Works facility. The Kahiti people are who are making those faces at me. And then the next thing I want to be able to mention is a lot of you have wanted to provide feedback, and you've been sending myself emails, Beth Kaburka emails, also the Help Spot, with ideas and suggestions that you have for the new Tanasi facility, and we do appreciate that. And we've put in a mechanism for you to use, for you to just give us your feedback. If you don't have a chance to call us or send us an email, we would actually prefer that you do it online. There's a link there. That link was in the telegram yesterday. That link is on our POA website. You may just be sitting at a table in the restaurant and hear somebody near you say something that you think is a good idea, and it's not your idea, but that's okay. Turn it in anyway because we are collecting those. Doesn't mean we will use all those suggestions, but we certainly are interested in hearing what you have to say. The bottom page looks like, that's what it looks like when you do your feedback. This is just a screenshot of the bottom page. You'll be able to click submit with your suggestion, and then if you notice at the bottom, every single update, just like what I've given today, will be added. So if you miss a meeting or you don't get to watch it online, you will be able to see as we go along. Beth will keep those updated. So as I know more, as the insurance company gives us additional answers, I will certainly get back to everyone. If you haven't been to Tanasi in the past couple of weeks, one thing that's different is now it is caged off with a fence, a chain link fence. Clayton's team had that done. We have stubbed out the power for the utilities for when the time comes for these temporary buildings, so they'll be able to tie that into our water and electricity. The boat docks now have electricity, so we really have, brought the full court press for the past couple of weeks. I know everybody's tired, and we appreciate you bearing with us. Special thank you to our golf team for keeping that operation up and running. I know they've been working the extra hours, but we will keep you updated, and if you have questions, of course, give me a call anytime. So.
Okay, thanks, Mitzi. And, the board would really like to extend a congratulations to the POA staff for just doing a bang-up effort in getting Tanasi back open. I mean, we were only down for one day, and the IT guys came in there, and Chris got his team mobilized, and Beth and Clayton. I hate to mention names because I know I'll miss somebody, but what an incredible effort it was to get things back up and rolling. And we're getting a lot of volunteers that are helping to stage the carts morning and evening, so just incredible. So I'd like to thank everybody involved, especially the POA staff, because I don't know how you did it, but you did, and it's greatly appreciated by all the residents.
Yeah, thank you.
Pat, you got your microphone on. I thought you were going to add something. Okay, we have operations update next. Winston.
Pat, are you awake? Thank you, Marty. I just want to kind of play off of what Marty just spoke to. I was in Iowa when the clubhouse caught fire, and I was at a wedding, as a matter of fact, and I get these series of texts from Mitzi, and then I get a series of pictures from Mitzi, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm coming back. But the team absolutely performed, and we had a meeting afterward, and I told them this. They did an outstanding job. Mitzi kind of took charge. She started gathering all the people together. Clayton Taylor put his staff together to help provide assistance. Goff, Chris Sykes and Wells and the Goff team found make-do homes over at Public Works. We ran wires and extension cords and hooked up chargers in places that you wouldn't believe we had power. And there was other staff. Kevin Alphonse spent probably a 14, 15-hour day on Sunday or whatever day trying to get things hooked up IT-wise. And lo and behold, in less than a day, they had it to where we could open up and have golf again. So when you understand the ins and outs of all the things that have to work and operate and function for us to open up a golf shop and run, it's simply amazing. And AWE stepped up and found a way to provide some food service running out of the halfway house. So it was truly phenomenal what they pulled off. And so your applause for the POA team is very well warranted. They did an outstanding job, and it made me very proud because basically by 24 hours later, I had a little comfort knowing that they had accomplished what they had accomplished in that short period of time. And then on Monday when I came into work, I saw them lining carts up and out there playing. I thought it was purely just phenomenal that they could pull that off. So Mitzi, the team, you all did an outstanding job. And all these property owners that volunteered, I want to thank you for the help you've been to the golf world at this. But this I think, is what Chet saw when he came here, was this sense of community and this sense of you know, Three Musketeers, except we're about 11,000. But we pull together, we figure out how to get it done, we make it happen. So you all have a great thing here. And Chet, welcome. I'm going to turn the keys over to you after this meeting, and it's all yours. And I've had enough discussion with you to think that you're the right man for the job. I think you'll do great, and look forward to sharing with you. But anyway, getting back to a little bit more of my regular report, TVPOA in August had good numbers. The net income was $621, about $187,000 better than was budgeted. Total revenues exceeded budget by $281. Expenses were a little higher than budgeted, but I've been anticipating that happening and will continue to expect that to happen, that expenses are going to exceed budget because we deferred a lot of maintenance items throughout the first 8 months of the year, and it's going to catch up as those things take place. Cash-wise, which cash in my chair is the ultimate number. You're sitting at $14.6 million with cash, 1.9 of that sitting in operational cash, compared to $13.5 million a year ago at this time. So the POA and its cash position is still very, very strong. Topic that I don't normally address, but I want to because of the Republic trash situation. Our Help Spot tickets, the satisfaction results have taken a dip. I can understand why. People are very sick and tired of not getting their trash picked up. We pride ourselves in keeping our satisfaction results up in the 90s. It's dipped down to 81%. But I can assure this to all the property owners, as soon as the situation is resolved, that the satisfaction of that Help Spot numbers will increase. We've got a great team, and I can just about bet on it. IT also is working very heavily with the Tanasi fire situation. They've had to pull some strings. They've had to, I think, use baling twine, chewing gum, duct tape, a lot of things to try to pull together connectivity to allow our carts to interact with the mothership, so to speak. And they have got some temporary patches in place, and they're working with AT&T to reestablish fiber internet connections, and this will help with keeping all that on a more stable platform and higher speeds. The significant amount of IT work was required in getting the Tanasi up and running, because you've got a point of sale system. It's all computerized. internet connected. You've got the carts. Used to, you just worried about putting the fuel in the carts and turn them loose. Now we've got carts that practically tell you what club to hit. In the HR world, they've been very busy for the month of August. They hired 11 employees. 2 in admin, 2 in public works, 2 in the streets, 2 in water, 1 in golf maintenance, and 1 in a pro shop. So current openings now are minimal, but we got 1 in golf full-time. A wellness manager is needed. Jaden is not retiring, he's taking a job in Georgia, so we're swapping. We took 1 from Georgia, and now we're sending another one back down there, so we're still even. And then 1's needed in the street department. Marketing, as I've been reporting this year, I've seen a little dip in the marketing, which is not surprising given the current news that we hear about the economy and so forth. For the month, the discovery requests were up versus last year, and it's probably got to do a lot with end of season, and we have a beautiful fall here. But the marketing traffic and the leads numbers are off from previous years. Year to date, we've completed 463 discovery packages or tours compared to 560 last year. The marketing traffic in the marketing operations is down about 1,500 from where we were last year, 2,500 versus 3,900. Leads are a little bit down compared to last year, from 3,700 to 4,800 last year. So we're seeing a little bit less in the marketing activity, but it's still very envious of many associations and developments around the country and the activity that we're seeing. In the commercial side of the update, our commercial center that we purchased from CCI, for months, Beth had 3 units she was trying to lease. In July, she leased Unit 206. Last month, August, she leased Unit 214. So she's down to 1 unit. So for all those that might be interested in starting a business, you need to hurry and act, because she has someone on the hook for 212, and she's going through due diligence, and probably by this time next month, the report, it will be leased also. ACC is another indicator that I look at for activity and marketing, and just a barometer on the business itself. Year to date, we've permitted 223 single-family homes. Last year at this time, it was 257, so we're about 34 behind where we were this time last year. Given the fact that we've had such strong years, you kind of wince when you see the 223, but given the fact that, I've been through 2007, 8, 9, where they were double digits instead of 3 digits, 223 permitted this time through August is still very, very strong for Tellico Village. In the public works area, there never ceases to be a dull moment when it comes to utilities. Sewer leaks, year to date, we've had 240 different leaks. That would equate to about 1 a day. January through August of last year, we had 218. In the water leaks area, we've had 106 versus last year, 150. So some of those could be minor leaks, some of them could be very major leaks, and our staff responds 24/7. And generally, they will have a leak fixed within 2 to 3 hours. Minor leaks, a lot less than that. Major leaks, I can tell you in Knoxville, when we have water leaks of 4-inch lines or larger, you're out of water for a day. Unless a KUB board member is on that neighborhood or street, then it gets fixed a lot faster.
Winston, can you maybe provide a little bit more color? What would a sewer leak be?
Sewer line, the pressurized lines that take it from the neighborhoods to the secondary lift stations, and then the lift stations, to the main lift station would be the sewer leaks that I'm referring to, those lines there. All of it is pressurized, none of it's gravity, so, you know, it has to, I'm not going to name any utilities north of us, but a lot of times on gravity, when they know they have a cracked pipe or something, they don't particularly jump on it because they know it's going to continue downhill and flow. It's only when they have clogs and blockages that they will jump on it and break the road up and so forth. But here, all of ours being pressurized, we get on it immediately and they take care of it. My next report is on golf. As everyone's aware, and I spoke to, and Mitzi mentioned, golf had a major interruption with the pro shop operation being burned down at Tanasi, but nonetheless, they were back up in less than a day. But also, I want to speak to the total fire in itself. This provides a great opportunity for the team to look at operations. We had 20-plus years working out of the Tanasi facility. That's 20 years of experience to learn by trial and error, learn by experience. And with the fire, as bad as it may be, they will now have an opportunity to rebuild and improve the functions, whatever that may be. There's a strong team in place to take a look at that and design something and come up. And all property owners and committees are encouraged to provide input on, you know, your thoughts and operations, but it'll be an opportunity. I mean, it is what it is right now. It's unfortunate, but we've got an opportunity to make things better. And as Chris Sykes said, we'll build it better, we'll build back, build better. So we're going to get there, and we're going to have a much better product in 2 years. As far as the golf operations itself goes, the metrics that we use there is rounds. I've got these notes. Our rounds for August, we had dry weather, and that's ideal for play. And despite of the disruption at Tanasi, our rounds outpaced last year, which was a record year, by almost 1,300 rounds. So you take a fact that we, you know, had a significant interruption, and we still beat a record year in rounds at that point in time. So year to date, this puts us at almost 14,000 rounds ahead of budget, and we're catching up with the level year to date for 21, and we're about 2,400 rounds behind that level. So if we continue to have this dry weather and we continue to have a beautiful fall like we're going to have at the latter part of this week, I would say the report next month or by the following month would be we will be on same plane as 21, maybe even surpass it. So golf is doing a bang-up job there. My next report is on recreation, and the big elephant in the rec world right now is the new pickleball complex that's being built up there. The structure is basically in place. The fencing's going up this week, October the 3rd. Clearspan will be back to put in the back of the building which was intentionally left open so the construction of the playing courts could be completed. They're in. Everything went well there. On a week later, Baseline will finish the courts, painting the courts, striping the courts. All of that work will take place. And then 10 days after that, which will be October 20th, Simon and the pickleball world is anticipating a large grand opening. And I'm sure, Marty, you're excited about that. That's your baby. And a new program that was added just a few months ago, indoor cycling, is going very strong. Classes are almost full. And as I told you a couple of months ago, with the winter and bad weather coming on, our indoor activities will pick up. So I anticipate that the rec world will probably want to come back and expand this operation to some extent. But that is a great add to the village, a great exercise class. The Chota pool will be closing down on September 29th for the season, so you have very few days to get your pool side in. And I'd like to throw in kudos to Clayton and the Public Works team. The pickleball complex we put together, we basically bid out for the grade work, the courts, and the roof structure. The rest of it was done in-house by the Public Works team, and that's the infrastructure. And you talk about infrastructure, you think, oh, that's not that much. No. They have to tap into the power. They've got to run conduit. They have to run conduit up through the building and then put the lights in. I think we even did everything but install the lights. The ClearSpan in their price provided the lighting, but we got them right up to the wire nuts, and then they connected that. So saved a lot of money. I think it looks real good. They did a very professional looking job, and kudos to Public Works for holding that cost down and helping us make this happen. In the one last note about personnel is Simon attended the TRPA State Leadership Forum. This is a recreational forum, and that's he and 24 other park and recreation professionals across the state had a conference, got together, networked on recreation and activities. And I think that just speaks to the quality of the professional that we've got in that job. Simon is, he's very energetic, pushes the envelope, which is exactly what I asked him to do, is to create more, better with less. And he's done a great job of that. But this speaks to his credentials, and he's also thought of very highly in the rec world. Rec memberships continue at record numbers. We're a little bit down from the membership levels of last month. Last month, 1,320. This year, this month, we're right at 1,300 on the household or family memberships. Individual memberships are still right at the same point of 690. So all the programs and the the Tougaloo Beach area activities and the cycling and all of this stuff that he's brought on board is now we're seeing the dividends of that by the membership numbers. And my last item to report on is food service. Naturally, AWE lost one of its major components in the Tanasi Clubhouse restaurant. A couple of weeks later, AWE has now transitioned lunch to be at the Yacht Club 7 days a week. Hours are from 11 to 4. They will have a Tanasi style menu. I've noticed today that it seemed pretty busy down there. It's a lot larger floor, so I could have the same number of people and it just not look as busy as Tanasi did, but I've got twice the floor space. But in that, we are filling that hole with the Yacht Club being open, and appreciate AWE for stepping up and doing that. Some numbers for the month of August. Sales, Tellico Clubhouse, year-to-date are $924,000. Last year, it was $750,000, so we are doing better in that area. Tanasi Clubhouse, now these numbers are going to be irrelevant after this month, but the year-to-date sales are $960,000. August of 21, they were $808,000. So, we're going to lose that momentum at Tanasi, but maybe we'll see some increase in the Yacht Club numbers. And then for the Yacht Club through August, year-to-date sales were $991,000, and last year was $925,000. So all three of the restaurants that AWE operates were up fairly significantly in total sales. Now, some of that's due to some price increases, due to inventory costs and something like that, but I think a lot of it's due also to utilization. And last, the Kahiti Clubhouse, which we run internally and Mitzi's responsible for, had $65,000 in sales for the month. Year-to-date sales are $395,000, and through August of 21 was $325,000, so $70,000 better than 21. So, Bob, take the message back to the Indians to keep it up and party hardy for the fall, okay? And that's the end of my report, Mr. President. Any questions?
Any questions for Winston?
One quick thing, Winston mentioned that the Chota pool is closing on September 29th. The Kahiti pool will be closing September 30th. We had a question about that, just so everybody knows.
You get a day longer, Bob.
Thanks, Winston. I'd like to take this opportunity to offer a special thanks and congratulations to Winston. The guy's been here 29 years. And if you look around and see what Tellico Village is like today, a lot of it's due to this man right here. And 24 of those 29 were as the GM/CEO. So congratulations on your retirement, and thanks for all you've done for the village. Now, if you recall, Winston said a little bit earlier that after this meeting, he's handing the keys over to Chet. And while that may be true, I did remind Winston that he's on the payroll till the end of the year.
So we have 3 more months to torture him.
So we expect that we'll be seeing him around still.
If you can find me, torture me.
Clayton asked me if you could run a brush truck.
I probably can.
I would think so.
I'll come and pull your mailbox up first.
So there will be more information coming out, but there will be a reception for Winston on November 5th. Right, Mitzi? And the other thing I want to congratulate Winston on is his son's getting married this weekend. So congratulations. Okay, the next item on the agenda is LUB rate increase, and that will be Mr. Stevens addressing that topic.
Just refreshing itself. There we go. All right. As many of you know, the POA executed a wholesale water supply agreement with LUB that was effective January 1 of 2021 and provided for a 20-year term. As part of that agreement, a major component was for LUB to make some infrastructure improvements to enhance the water supply and service to the village. With respect to the rates, there was a rate schedule established under Section 2 of the agreement that triggered various rate increases, many of which were associated specifically with the infrastructure improvements. Just for some historical perspective, when the contract was executed, January 1, 2021, the rate per 1,000 gallons of water was set at $1.94. The second threshold in the rate structure was beginning on the date of documented commencement of construction of the identified improvements. The rate per 1,000 gallons of water increased to $2.12. Now, those improvements were identified in the contract specifically in Exhibit A as the completion of a new 1 million gallon capacity water tank at Watts Cemetery and an upgrade to the Von Orr pump station. So now we are at the point of the third rate increase under the agreement based upon the documented completion of construction of these 2 utility infrastructure improvements. So the new rate effective September 1 will be $2.30 per 1,000 gallons. We received on August 31st a certificate of substantial completion for these improvement projects, noting they were executed by the engineer, the contractor, and LUB. So the improvements are now in place. They are functioning, they're operational, and in fact, Clayton has noticed operational improvements based upon these new infrastructure enhancements. So he has reported that the water service is certainly improved based upon these enhancements. And we hope that will continue to be the case. So again, the new rate is $2.30 effective September 1.
All right, thank you. Kevin also has a bonus item that I asked him to address. We, the board, have been receiving, I'll say, a few requests to review contracts, specifically the Republic contract, with all the issues that we've been having. So we've had several residents requesting to see the contract. Now, it has been the board's practice since day one not to share contract information. So I asked Kevin to review that and to basically put together a statement for the board and address reasoning behind the stance that we need to take. So, Kevin.
Thank you, Marty. Again, this is not a new policy or any change in policy, but for the benefit of the property owners, wanted to make sure everyone understood with clarity the existing policy and why it's in place. So this is a statement I'll read, just bear with me. The POA Board periodically receives property owner inquiries regarding existing POA vendor contracts. Certain of these inquiries also include requests to review or obtain copies of these contracts. Although the POA has reasonably attempted to address property owner questions regarding vendor contracts, the POA has maintained a consistent policy for many years that does not permit property owners to review or obtain copies of such vendor contracts. This policy was implemented to protect the POA and to avoid any disclosures which could be violative of contract provisions or otherwise impair the interests of the POA. For example, many vendor contracts contain confidentiality provisions which expressly prohibit disclosure. Moreover, disclosure of other vendor contracts would be contrary to the interests of the POA if they are competitively bid, include strategic acquisitions, involve confidential matters of public safety or security, or relate to potential or pending litigation. Based on the foregoing concerns and to protect the POA from potential liability or financial harm, the POA will maintain its existing policy prohibiting disclosure of existing vendor contracts. The POA will, however, continue to reasonably address property owners' questions regarding vendor contracts which are not violative of express contract provisions and which would not otherwise expose the POA to liability or financial harm. Property owners are welcome to raise questions regarding existing vendor contracts at POA board meetings or through other official communication mediums. Moreover, the POA board will continue to provide financial reports at its regular monthly meetings which detail expenditures under many of its vendor contracts. The POA believes that maintaining its current policy reasonably allows for financial transparency while still protecting the best interests of the POA. So that is the statement from the board regarding its existing policy, which again has been in place for many years and pertains broadly to all vendor contracts.
Thanks, Kevin. And I guess the bottom line is, even though we can't share the actual contract information, we can and will answer any specific questions that anybody has regarding those contracts, as long as that's not divulging any confidential type information. So any questions or comments on that from the board? Any from any of the residents? Yes. Come to the mic, please. Just make sure it's on, Rick.
Okay, I think I'm on. Yes, I am. Mr. Stevens, are you, do you represent LUB?
I do not.
But you negotiated the contract for with LUB on behalf of the POA, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Let me
Do
make
you represent-
clarification. It wasn't just him. It was a committee of
Okay.
board and staff members.
I understand
and
that.
he advised us as the lawyer for the POA.
Do you represent Republic Services, sir?
No, and never have.
And you never have? Okay.
We'll get Mike on. No, and I have never have.
Okay. And so you have no relationship whatsoever with Republic Services? Is that correct?
No business, financial or otherwise.
Okay. Just wanted to clear up that misconception then, because a lot of people believe you represent Republic Services. So I'm
Never
glad
have. Thank you.
I'm glad you were publicly able to clear that up.
Absolutely, without question.
So with that said, obviously there's a lot of discontent with Republic Services. And now we're being told that we can't look at the contract, which I also understand that you want to protect the board to do this. But it appears to me that we have a significant problem, and many residents are very concerned about that problem. And it certainly needs to be addressed. So what I'm wondering is what the board is currently doing or plans to do futuristically about addressing the concerns of Republic if we're looking at other, are we looking at other opportunities, or are we looking at other services that might be available?
Yeah, let me address that for you.
Okay.
Without getting into any detail, specifically referring to what Kevin talked about, the staff for the last 6 months has been aggressively addressing problems with Republic, probably on a daily basis. Some of those phone calls not very pleasant, but we're tired of it, almost as tired as the property owners. Secondarily, the management is advising the board on its options, and they're studying the various options and looking at what we can do about it. And that's about as far as I want to go on that. So it's actively in the hopper, and it's being addressed, and I predict in very short order that it will be back to normal.
As you can appreciate, Rick, and everybody else that's asking about this, another of our major concerns is, we don't want to go without any trash service. So we've got to be very careful how we tread this issue. Okay.
And I'll just add briefly, we are taking action to enforce the contract, but you have to follow the protocol set forth in the contract. So we are diligently working through that process.
Thank you, Marty. I'd just like to ask, has the POA been advised of the members on the new landfill commission, and are any of them village residents? Thank you.
Not that I'm aware.
I don't. Sounds like none of us have any awareness of that. Thanks. I'm happy to be informed and updated, though.
Yeah, and I would like to report because, and again, I'm a connoisseur of next door. I know you guys probably think I'm joking, but I'm not. I really enjoy reading the other side of the equation and factoring that into my little brain here to come up with decisions. But, when you read about property owners in their frustration are going to take their trash to the POA office and dump it in front of them. And then the one that particularly interested me that got my wife to stay up all night and look outside to make sure it didn't happen is the trash bags were going in my front yard. This is what I'm going to tell you. Today, from April, when they first started this, after that snowstorm and that wreck, remember the wreck and the snowstorm in the same couple of days? That's where all this started. Today, September the, what is today, the 19th? 21st, I'm behind 2 days. September the 21st, all the way from April is the first day they've picked up my trash on the correct day. So if you think I'm not involved in it as well, or everybody in here is not involved, we're feeling the same pain. But at the same time, realizing that there are video cameras watching this, that anybody can go on this YouTube. So is there a strategy? Yeah. And we're going to discuss that strategy openly? No. You understand why? Okay, good. I got some nods. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Pat. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. Chet has an update on an HR item that I was reminded of as Winston was giving his report.
Before you jump in, you've skipped me twice.
I know, we're coming back.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure you're not neglecting me.
I know once.
I'm the MAC guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went back above you, now I'm coming back down.
Okay, first thing is when I was employed, one of the things that I was challenged with, and I was challenging the board as well, is we need a CFO. We need to get that in place and need to get it done. The HR department did an incredible search process and interviewed quite a few people and got it down to a few that they felt were people that would work, but they wanted me to interview them and be sure they would work with our staff and with our team. So after interviewing them, we have indeed, as of last Friday, hired a CFO, and their first day will be the 11th of October. And I am very much looking forward to having them on board. But I wanted to be sure that everybody's aware of that. We got that task taken care of, and they are here.
And for those of you that are following the budget review process, that is impacting the budget review process. That was going to take place next week. It has now been deferred to October 17th.
17th and 18th.
Yes. So that'll be coming out in communications, but just FYI. Mr. White, you are up with the Marine Advisory Committee member.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. The Marine Advisory Committee has interviewed about 5 or 6 people, and that is going to carry over because at the end of this year there will be 3 additional openings, as you read in the telegram recently, but this is to fill in the most immediate opening. They have selected a gentleman named Bruce Lawson, who was recommended to fill the full term of 2022 through 2025 on the Marine Advisory Committee. The Marine Advisory Committee has been actively searching for a Kahiti resident because they didn't have one, but we do have docks in Kahiti. We just added a dock, which is the electric company, Funderburk, is finishing up the electrical there. We should be leasing those spaces in October, and our people in the POA office are reaching out to prepare those people to get ready to go in a hurry. So we're recommending Bruce Lawson, who has worked on Lake Michigan in a recreational commercial harbor. He's been involved in general aviation in Chicago, Virginia, New York, Michigan, and Connecticut. Sounds like a typical villager, right? Moves all over the place. He's also been an adjunct professor at the University of New Haven in New Haven, Connecticut. He is coming to us strongly recommended, and we recommend that we accept him on the Marine Advisory Committee, and I make that motion to accept Bruce Lawson on the Marine Advisory Committee, full term 2022 to 2025.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve Mr. Bruce Lawson for the Marine Advisory Committee from 22 to 25, right?
Right.
Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passed 6 to 0.
Bruce.
Sorry?
Third Monday on each month. Yeah.
Okay, we're now ready to move on to the next item, which is an update from Mr. Bogardus and Mr. Tetcher. And I think John wants to introduce that.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like everybody to know that the Marketing Committee has done a really good job with looking at what our new residents are going to look like, what they look like now, what they'll look like in the future. And I thank Joe and Fred for putting this together. I think it'll shed some light on new residents going forward.
Terrific. What we're going to talk about, I think, is something that is very important to us short term and even more important to us longer term. And that's really some work we've done, Joe and I have done, and Beth have done recently in terms of understanding the prospective Tellico villager now and in the future. And I guess I do this. All right, here's the way it's going to lay out. I'm going to talk about why we did this kind of analysis and the components of it. I'm going to talk about some background that we went back and when we started this situation about 10 years ago, and then a cohort analysis in the implications of Tellico Village. And Joe is going to take it up with the implications and talk about the crux of the marketing success, sustaining the brand, and an overall summary. Then attached is the cohort analysis and references relating to that. Why do we do this? Well, there were really 3 reasons why we did. The last time we did a completed quantitative analysis supporting our positioning. The positioning of the Tellico Village brand was in 2017. And we thought we really needed to update that, especially as we were aware as Generation X-ers were becoming more and more into our target audience. The second was that once we got into it, we started to see some things we didn't expect. And so we thought it might be a good idea, once we completed the analysis, for the Long Range Planning Committee to be aware of what we found. And we made that presentation last month to the Long Range Planning Committee. And they suggested we bring it here to you, to the board. And thirdly, obviously there have been senior TVPOA staff changes that were scheduled for late 2022. And we felt that these people, when they came on board, would be quite interested in how we were marketing the Tellico Village brand, how we were positioning the Tellico Village brand, and whether or not this positioning resonated with people that were actually our prospects at this point in time and going forward. So those are the reasons we did the analysis to begin with. The components of it is a cohort updating and analysis. You're aware of baby boomers, obviously Generation X you've heard of. There may be some things in here you haven't heard of. And we're going to talk about age range by cohorts, their key characteristics, and what each of these cohorts, these age cohorts, are expecting in terms of retirement wants and needs. We're also going to go through the way this is supported by a study that was done originally for the purposes by our Fletcher, our PR agency, to give quantitative support to a national article they were writing or preparing. But we were able to use their data and cut it in several ways that was able to lend support and perspective to the analysis that we'd done. And thirdly, we did something that's never been done before, but I think we're going to continue to do it, because when you think about it, the people that are closest to our prospects, not anyone in this room, but our tour guides. Our tour guides are a major part of our program. The fact that we have volunteer tour guides that take prospects around and introduce them to Tellico Village is a major competitive advantage for us. And what this allowed, by talking to those, by surveying our tour guides and some of the realtors that have been very close to our Discovery Program tours, that allow us to focus prospects, not residents, and identify differences in trends and feelings. So those are the three components. But before I start with that, let's talk about our brand positioning. Joe and I, in the second half of 2012, very carefully positioned the Tellico Village brand based on the information we had available to us. And that really came in two parts. The first part was quantitative secondary source data. And there were a number of quantitative surveys dealing what people retiring wanted from their retirement and their retirement communities. And we looked at those very carefully at the time. We had also been in Tellico Village at that point between 5 and 10 years. Joe 5, me 10. And we went through the process ourselves. We knew a lot of people. We talked to a lot of people that we knew and a lot of people we didn't know to give ourselves a qualitative assessment of what was going on. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have been involved in the positioning of a brand, but the way you do it is you take what your target prospect wants and needs from your product. And then you take, on the other hand, what your product has to offer. You marry the two, and that becomes your positioning, okay? What your prospect wants and needs, and how as a product you deliver that. And the intersection of consumer wants and Tellico Village attributes became the foundational pillars of our Tellico Village brand 10 years ago. They remain so today, and there are 4 of them. Ideal location, outstanding amenities, exceptional lifestyle, unsurpassed value. That is what target prospects wanted from the retirement community, and that's what Tellico Village offers in a retirement community. And those are the pillars, have been since the beginning from our positioning. And what, in 2017, what we did is we did this piece of research, which is a pretty good piece of research, with Tellico Village residents, where we quantitatively reaffirmed the principal pillars of our strategy as the principal reasons that new arrivals chose Tellico Village. Okay. So what we decided to do is to update ourselves about the Generation X cohort that's coming into our target audience. However, when we did so, we began to see that the feelings about baby boomers had really changed in the last 10 years. The people that are the researchers or the demographers or whatever you call the people that are involved in this kind of thing, they're looking at it really differently today than they did 10 years ago. And what they're doing now is they're sub-segmenting the baby boomers, this huge cohort, the baby boomers, into two sub-cohorts, each distinctively different. The second half of the baby boomers, those born between 1955 and 1964, who are currently 57 to 67 years of age, feature different characteristics on views on retirement versus the early baby boomers. And this younger baby boomer segment has been labeled Generation Jones, as in keeping up with the Joneses. Or a secondary definition is people who have gotten jonesed or screwed, okay?
Nice.
By what's happened during the course of their lives. Okay. The Generation Jones cohort has different generational characteristics. I think I may have flipped one. Okay. The Generation Jones has different characteristics. They are pessimistic, cynical, and competitive, according to these demographers. What happened to Generation Jones? They grew up in the 60s, okay, when everything was great. And then all of a sudden came the 70s and 80s, where huge upheavals happened in our economy. The outlook of the economy is defined by market shifts. We went from industrialization to a services economy. There were economic upheavals relating to mass unemployment, lower wages, high mortgages, and so forth. And these people were forced to be fiercely competitive in a weak job market, not just to get ahead, but to keep their jobs. They were hit hard by the 2008 economic crisis, and all of those life experiences as a cohort has drove accompanying disillusionment, cynicism, and alienation. In retirement, it's very interesting what these people want. It's highly aspirational. They want to return to the optimism and idealism experienced in the 1960s, they experienced. They want to reconnect with their childhood dreams of satisfaction and self-realization. They want to foster a revolution in aging and retirement. And they want to be able to live out their lives in a way that they were not able to in earlier years. These are what people are writing about them, what the people are researching about them as a general cohort. It's a highly aspirational cohort. They want to change their lives for the better. Okay? Now, we started this whole thing to learn more about Generation Xers. The Generation X cohort, which is, they're 46 to 57 years old now, they're born from 1965 to 76, have a completely different set of characteristics and retirement views than either the early baby boomers or the Generation Jones. The generational characteristics are resourceful, independent, and striving for a work-life balance. And striving for a work-life balance is really important to them. These are latchkey kids. These are the kids that grew up with both their parents working, okay? And they're looking to have a different experience with their families. And that carries out to just about every aspect of their lives. Where the early baby boomers lived to work. A lot of people consider the early baby boomers to be workaholics. These people work to live. It's a complete reversal. And it's very important to everything that they do. Now, in terms of retirement, 58% of them plan to make a geographical move in retirement. That's incredibly important to us because they're looking to make a move. To them, retirement is not synonymous with being unemployed. They plan, they always have and plan to control retirement by doing two things, basically. One, working if necessary, continuing to work if necessary, and secondly, controlling their fixed costs going in. Thirdly, they expect to stay young via an active lifestyle, recreation, and other amenities. I forget, I think it's like 70% of them would like to live to be 100. I can tell them by experience, it gets harder to think that way the older you get. But anyway, that's what they're saying. They also need they need the same size home or a larger home. They're not looking to downsize. Why? Well, because they're open to multi-generational living. They really aspire to have their parents living with them, which is different than some of the other older cohorts. And they want to be accessible to important people in their lives, family, friends. That doesn't mean they have to live next to each other or in the same house, but it does mean that they have to be geographically accessible. Now, this was interesting to us as we went through and do it. We knew generally what it was, except for the importance of the Generation Jonesers. But if you look at this, our target audience is age 55 to 70, always has been. It's the proper target audience for us. And if you see this, the baby boomer, the older baby boomers, the baby boomer one generation, the one everybody thought was the baby boomers, at least that's what we had determined, are almost through our primary target audience at this point. They're the red. Their oldest the youngest baby boomer is 69 years old today. The Generation Jonesers comprise almost our complete target audience now. They age from 57 to 68. And the Generation Xers are coming into the bottom of our target audience from an age standpoint. They range in age from 41 to 57 at this point in time. And you can see the millennials at the bottom. Now this goes out, starts in 2002 and goes out 22 and goes out 15 years. So you can see the millennials will start to come into our target audience in the 13th or 14th or 15th year. So this gives you a graphic view of how these cohorts are coming through the target and therefore coming into Tellico Village over the period of time, and today and in the future. Okay. What are the implications? Well, all three of the cohorts, Baby Boomers, Generation Jones, and Generation X, are active adults, which is really good news for us because we're an active adult community. And for very different reasons, at least based on our analysis, these three, the Tellico Village brand pillars, appear to resonate with all three cohorts. Ideal location, outstanding amenities, exceptional lifestyle, unsurpassed value is important to all of them, primarily important to all of them. They're coming at it a different way, but they end up at the same place. Now, that was our assessment. We wanted to quantify that assessment, bringing it closer to home if we could. And what we were able to do is to use this Fletcher research that was about to be fielded and a tour guide realtor study to see whether or not this would confirm what our feelings were or what our findings were. Now, the Fletcher research they did for a very different reason, but we were able to cut it in order to be able to apply it directly to our needs. We were able to look at it differently. And one of the questions they asked was, how important was each of the following in your relocating to Tellico Village? So this was asked among Tellico Village residents. So we cut it to the youngest age demographic they had, which was under 65. And if we look at the key attributes that they're playing back as being the most important, beauty, aesthetic appeal, affordability, cost of living, amenities, weather, social opportunities, community, those are our pillars. And they scored on a 100-point scale between 82 and 88, which is major importance. These are incredibly important, the most important reasons why they retired. Well, 65 and under is a little bit non-definitive. I mean, it's a little bit too general. We were able to cut their data a different way. One of the questions they asked was, how long have you been in Tennessee? Well, you can't be in Tellico Village without being in Tennessee. That even dawned on us. So we looked at it, people that were in Tennessee, Tellico Village residents that had been in Tennessee for less than 2 years. and you look at what the most important thing in terms of their relocating to Tellico Village is: beauty, aesthetic appeal, affordability, cost of living, amenities, weather, social opportunities, community, convenience to healthcare and hospitals. All of our pillars. So based on these data, this research done within June and July in Tellico Village, a major sample, would support the importance of the pillars that we established back in 2012. Now, we took it a step further and did something that we hadn't ever done before, but we think it's a really good idea, and I think we'll pay more close attention to it. We did a survey among the tour guides and the realtors. The realtors being those realtors we knew were giving a lot of discovery tours. And what we did was we asked the question, please rate the overall importance that you think recent tours have placed on each of the following in their decision to move to Tellico Village. Now, we're not surprised that if you take the 4 or 5 top things, there are pillars. But what did kind of surprise us, maybe not entirely, was what the tour guides felt was the most important reasons that they moved here. Now, when you take the tour guides that we got that answered our survey, they represent over 70% of the tours we've done in Tellico Village this year. So we have a pretty good base. Friendly, positive people, the #1 reason they felt was the most important reason to move to Tellico Village. Amenities, golf courses, wellness center, recreation center, restaurants, and the variety of clubs and activities. Those were all scored above the natural beauty of the area or its affordability. Okay? The combination, those are our 4 pillars. We were surprised a little bit in terms of the emphasis that they placed upon, in their judgment, that their prospects, toured prospects placed upon the friendliness and positive people, not so much surprised about the amenities. All right. There are several other things that came up with the tour guide research that I think that we wanted to make long-range planning aware of, bring it to your attention too. They feel strongly that their tours have been younger during 2022 than they've been in the past. Okay, this is 2022 tours versus 2021 and older tours, younger tours. They feel strongly that more current tours plan to relocate here pre-retirement. Not work when they're here, but relocate here pre-retirement. Come here before they retire. They feel somewhat less strongly. They still feel, but and this is, we probably worded this not very well, but they still feel that recent tours have been more affluent and plan to work from home more than they did in the past. But they're not as strong about those feelings as the top 2. So they do feel that recent tours are more affluent and they plan to work from home more than they did in the past. Now, this was done before Tanasi, okay? Before Tanasi burned down, and I'm sure priorities would shift now. But they considered, tour and realtors feel that tour guides and the realtors feel that younger prospects are more interested in older prospects in pickleball and walking, hiking, cycling. We're real well positioned for that. Pickleball and our pickleball complex fits right in with that. Our walking tours that the community volunteers have put together in the last 5 to 10 years fit right in with that. And we got this new indoor cycling thing, which is helpful too. So we're pretty well anticipating what these wants and needs are as a community. But they do consider inadequate boat slip availability and the absence of bike trails as the 2 most frequent amenity needs cited by their tours. This is before Tanasi, obviously. Okay. I think we're all aware of what appears to be a becoming more difficult, at least this is what we've heard, in terms of getting volunteers to do stuff. And we kind of looked into this. This is something, the affluence is something, Joe has done a tremendous number of tours, probably as many as anybody here. This is something I know he feels very strongly about. But our tour guides did note an increase in affluence. Joe has seen that very much in our tours. This is just a perspective. I know there's a lot of reasons it's not a terrific perspective, but the median price of our homes in the first half of 2022 was $556,000. The national median home price was $387,000. Ours was 44% higher than the national price. And I know you got single-family homes, you got starter homes, you got everything in that. Nevertheless, our pricing has increased all dramatically in the last 2 years. Is it possible that our real estate price points are beginning to self-select an increasingly affluent to an increasingly affluent prospect? And if it is, some, not all affluent individuals are more prone to donate money and not time to volunteer endeavors. This is a volunteer community. If we can't get volunteers to be involved in everything, it's going to be a tremendous problem for us. So I think it's something that has to be looked at and addressed, and we think that there are ways to do that. Joe will now take it to further implications and where we come out of all this.
Thank you, Fred. Also, just like to take a minute and acknowledge the Long Range Planning Committee, Phil Brenner, the Vice Chair. We've worked with the Long Range Planning Committee on not only this project, but on other projects over the years, and we appreciate very much that, that partnership. So, oops, happy. All right, how did that happen? Okay, so now when you look at the crux of our marketing success here in Tellico Village, it is, again, revolves around our brand pillars. When you look at our location, Tellico Village's location is ideal. We have the lake, we have the mountains, we're close to a large city with a lot of services, a great health care, we have a four-season climate, 60% of the U.S. population is within a day's drive of the village, and we have a airport which feeds us to many large air hubs across the country. Our amenities are outstanding. We have 3 terrific championship golf courses. We have marinas. We have a beautiful yacht club. We're going to soon have another terrific golf clubhouse. We have over 30 miles of hiking and walking trails in the village, and we have a wide range of water sport options. Our lifestyle is exceptional. We have a warm and caring and hospitable culture. We have a superb social infrastructure. We have over 100 clubs here in the community. We have a variety of community service operations, and our churches are very much involved in the village. Our value is unsurpassed. We have the lowest, Tennessee has a low cost of living. In fact, in 2021, we have the 6th lowest cost of living in the United States. We have minimal taxes. In fact, since 2011, we've reduced taxes in Tennessee by $2 billion. We have low property taxes, and we also have modest assessments and users' fees here in the community. So our value is unsurpassed. So the brand pillars resonate with the 3 key audiences as Fred has covered with you. But let's look at these brand pillars in a little bit different way. Let's look at them as product attributes. Our product is Tellico Village, and our attributes is location, value, amenities, and lifestyle. In reality, the community has limited influence over location value. However, the leadership of our community and villagers have much more control over amenities and lifestyle. So let's look at location. Tellico Village can promote lake and air cleanliness, and we do have organizations within the community that takes up that crusade. We're very active as a community in supporting the thwarting of Asian carp into our lovely lake. But fundamentally, when it comes to location, the distance to Knoxville will not change. The distance to the airport will be the same, and the U.S. population will still be roughly 60% of it will be within a day's drive. We're still going to have the 4 seasons, and the natural beauty, hopefully, will be sustained here throughout East Tennessee. Value. We can impact value by maintaining our physical conservatism, by minimizing our assessment increases and our amenity fees. That will continue to be important. But the main value component is the Tennessee state cost of living. We have, as villagers, limited influence on state and county taxes or the core inflationary factors that impact Tennessee's cost of living. Sustaining a brand, though, becomes more into our realm of control when, as villagers and leaders in the villagers, we can pay more attention to the wants and needs of not only existing but incoming residents. I think it's very important, we think it's important that long-term capital plans are critical to maintaining and upgrading our amenities. Lifestyle is also something that the village controls. In fact, it's really totally dependent on villager commitment and involvement. Volunteerism is central to sustaining the social infrastructure in the community. When you think about this in all of our careers, culture is a learned behavior. When we went into different companies or when it went in different divisions within a company, we learned that there was a little bit different culture as we made those moves through our careers. And it's really important that current villagers teach the culture. All of us that are villagers in this room today have learned the Tellico Village culture from those of previous residents. I'm going, all right, I'm going the wrong way here. Where am I here? Okay. I'm no, I'm way ahead. All right, okay. Here I am. I'm very passionate about this, in case you can't tell. Okay, all right, now let's try it. Okay, so now we're going to focus on lifestyle a little bit. Volunteerism, and the work Fred did. He was able to identify in our 3 cohorts the attitudes baby boomers have towards volunteerism, which is immediately open to volunteer opportunities. Generation Jones, they are open to being involved in volunteer activities. It's part of their aspirational lifestyle. The key here is that it's going to take a little bit longer for Generation Jones participants to get engaged in the community. They need to be educated, and they need to have some experience before they jump into a volunteer option. Gen X, if it fits with the family work, because again, remember, Gen X are going to be continuing to want to work in the volunteer opportunities will need to fit into their work-life balance. As far as culture goes, baby boomers are friendly and welcoming. Generation Jones is aspiring to integrate into the community culture. But again, this is going to take some time. This is going to be part of the educational process. Now, Gen X is going to be looking to get readily involved with the New Friends. This is where our New Villagers organization is a major benefit for us here in Tellico Village. So if culture is a learned behavior, what can be done to teach the Tellico Village culture? Some steps are already underway. A section on volunteerism is included now in the welcoming orientation that's given on a bi-monthly basis here in the community. Over the past 6-7 months, as we've been celebrating the 35th anniversary, many of you may have noticed the 35th anniversary logotype contains volunteerism, kindness, and community. So more cultural teaching is needed by the current population. Villagers, not new arrivals, really control the culture of Tellico Village. Another aspect of sustaining the brand is critical to the village's future will be the requirement for an ongoing investment to communicate the brand pillars to the 3 cohorts that we have identified. Since the inception of the program, our overarching objective has always been to build awareness of the Tellico Village brand, its unique appeals and benefits among national, regional, in-state, and local target audience in order to influence the sale of Tellico Village homes, lots, and strengthen property values. So let's look at build-out. Build-out will have over 6,000 plus residences here in Tellico Village. Over the past 5 years, the village has averaged roughly 300 existing home sales. These average sales years of 300 homes represents roughly 6 to 7% of the village's built inventory. At built-out, these 6,000 plus residents, a 6 to 7% annual turnover rate will represent 360 to 420 homes needing to be sold annually. Now, for a period from 2002 to 2012, there was really no Tellico Village brand advertising. There wasn't really a marketing program. In 2007, some of us may remember that the National Recreation Properties Incorporated Eric Estrada campaign came to an end, and there was no national exposure for the village except for an occasional placement by a local realtor. Now, we work with the Tellico Village realtors on a regular basis, and they are superb, professional, knowledgeable. They are great at selling homes. They're not brand managers. It's not their area expertise. They're local realtors. Realtors are not capable or are unwilling to invest six-figure budgets annually to promote the Tellico Village brand. For the period 2007 to 2012, when there was essentially no Tellico Village advertising at all, the community floundered. Time on market exploded to 7-8 months. Price per square foot plunged, and existing home sales declined by 60%. Going forward, to continue to fulfill the marketing program's original objective, the Tellico Village Property Owners Association will need to continue to invest in the brand. So in summary, my colleague Fred did a terrific job in identifying the three audiences that are open to the Tellico Village message. Research shows that our brand pillars of ideal location, outstanding amenities, exceptional lifestyle, and unsurpassed value still resonates with all these audiences. The success of the marketing program is really the result of being able to deliver on these four brand pillars. And if we look at these brand pillars as product attributes, we've identified that there are two brand pillars that we really have close control over here in the village. Making sure that our amenities meet the wants and needs of existing and incoming residents, and also, most importantly, to sustain the village's exceptional lifestyle by perpetuating the commitment to volunteerism and teaching the warm, welcoming, and hospitable community culture that we have here. And even after build-out, the investment by the Property Owners Association in marketing the Tellico Village brand must continue to ensure villagers can, especially our older villagers, can sell their homes in a timely manner and for a fair and reasonable price. And many times over the years, Fred and I have closed our presentations with this quote from George Santana: "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." So thank you for your attention, and Fred and I would be happy to entertain any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions, comments from the board? Any from any of the residents? All right, guys, thank you for the update. Very interesting.
Just a qualification. We know there are a lot of really, really active volunteer people in Generation Jones. It's just the overall identification with Generation Jones that we were referring here today.
No offense taken.
Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. Early voting. John.
Yes, we need to establish a new place for early voting in Loudoun County for the village. And so I would like to make a motion that Chota Rec Center be designated as the early voting place in Loudoun County for Tellico Village.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the Chota Rec Center be designated as an early voting location for the village and for the county. Is there any discussion?
So, as I understand it, the county was reticent to allow us to have an early voting site at Chota. Does somebody want to recount why that happened?
I'm not sure that that's true. The county is looking, you know, we're the only private community in Loudoun County that has had early voting. And in order to keep that here, you know, we had church facilities available in the past, but early voting is a period of 3 days. And that's where the bulk of voting takes place. And this election cycle for the county votes, which affect our community the most, we had the best turnout we've ever had. So we don't want to lose that capability.
Was there an issue, though? I think that might be what Rick is referring to, that caused some consternation on either people utilizing the rec center or people trying to vote. That happened this year that said, okay, maybe we can't use the Chota Rec Center.
Well, I would like to have the head of the Government Affairs Committee make a comment on that.
Turn your mic on. Turn your mic on.
Right. Okay. Could you repeat the question, please?
I think what Rick was referring to was as the last early voting cycle, where parking was an issue at the rec center, and there were some incidents, I'll say, between maybe some residents and some voters or some of the candidates. And I think maybe that is what led to some of this questioning as to whether Chota is the right place to continue as a voting site.
Okay. Chota became an early voting location because Chota became the precinct center for District 1 after redistricting. This is a result of redistricting. And so with Chota as our precinct, that's where early voting was designated by the Elections Commission. Most places, when they hold voting, don't hold anything else because of the volume of people it brings in. What happened with Chota is they tried to keep all activities going at the same time of early voting. And so there was a good deal of congestion.
So is part of this motion then that we will close Chota to everything except voting? during those 3 days?
Yes.
Then you need to clarify the motion.
So-
Because now we're talking about closing the rec facility.
So, okay, so I guess the question I would have before you modify your motion is that what we're asking, or are we asking Chet and Company to do what it takes to provide adequate parking at Chota, and they can make that decision?
Well, I think what we need to do is to close it to other activities, and I'll tell you why. That precedent's already been set. It's done for the quilting club when they have their annual event. So I think that early voting in the village is extremely important. I think that voting is a right that everybody should have, and that there should be adequate parking for it. So I'll be happy to modify the motion to include that.
Do I have a second on the modification? Pat?
Yes.
All right. So now, the motion, as it stands now, is to have Chota be a site for early election opportunities, and to be closed for any other activities during that time, so we have adequate parking. Is there any discussion?
I have one further question. Is the election committee open to having early voting in the village under those circumstances?
To my knowledge, yes, and the Elections Commission Chairman is here if you'd like to hear from him as well.
I just heard him say yes.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
If I could make one comment, I've been working with the statistics and numbers of the voting that was done in May and in August, and over 2/3 of the voting that is done in the village is done during early voting.
During 2/3 during early voting?
Yes.
We're not looking at this being an every year occurrence. There's a four-year election cycle. You had county voting this year for county commissioners and all of the various elections. So this is not an every year occurrence. It would be on a 4-year cycle, and possibly for the congressional elections take place every year, but that's only 1 day of voting. So I don't think that's a problem.
Okay. Pat?
Oh. Go ahead, Susan, you had something else?
No, I was,
Okay, that was
Sorry, I
your,
didn't
but
see
that
you.
was
see,
me.
Yeah, but see.
But I didn't have my hand up like Pat did.
Yeah,
so.
I did. I try, because if I don't put my hand up, I get criticized. So this will be a terrible inconvenience. There are a lot of people that are using Chota. There are people, we just put a spin class over there. There's 3 days out. You have meeting rooms over there. Who knows what meeting rooms you're going to have. But at the same time, if you want to match that inconvenience to all property owners having to drive to wherever they got to go, that is a much greater inconvenience. And I think it's a small price to pay for us to donate that facility for a short period of time, understanding that while I may be inconvenienced, I'm not near as inconvenienced as I would be if I have to drive across the lake or down that way or whatever, you know? So I'm absolutely all for this. Much better central location for all of us.
Okay.
So, yeah, I remember when early voting came in I believe it was
2010.
Yeah.
Yeah. The HOA was very much involved in having that happen. And I would tell you it was well received by the village. And in fact, I think if we didn't continue it, there would be a lot of people very upset.
The civic responsibility that we have a control.
You got to make it easy for people to vote.
Right.
Okay, so 2 questions for Susan. Just to clarify for everybody, what are the days for early voting?
Early voting coming up right now is October 26 and 27 at Chota.
Okay, and then so then my next one is Larissa, is what the impact would be on those days to the activities that you have going on at Chota. And if obviously I know you know who those people are, so we would need to get a hold of them ahead of time, and maybe anything that we can do to accommodate them elsewhere, obviously not spinning, but, so I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
We have
So for those online, Larissa said 6 classes during that time. I mean, yeah, 6 classes and 20 meetings, 20 groups. Any other board questions or comments? Okay, open it up now to the residents. Go ahead. Do you want to come to a mic? The question is, does it include election day?
We do have voting at Chota on election.
It's already in place too, yes. Sue?
Election Day will always be held at Chota because it is the precinct center for District 1.
And it is closed that day as well? Has it been in the past?
No, it has been open.
This is the first time Chota has been the precinct center for District 1. Before redistricting, these people used to vote at Piney Ruritan. And the question came up when this issue came up is, can't we just go to Piney Ruritan? Well, Piney Ruritan was redistricted. They are now the precinct center for District 4.
Yeah, let's hear one for gerrymandering.
John?
No, it's growth.
Did you have something?
No.
Okay. Community church.
Yes, Community Church is the voting precinct center for District 7.
And as my understanding, the community church is no longer a place for early voting. Okay. So we have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, one last thing. We're closing Chota. We're making it really inconvenience for 6 groups and 20 people to meet. 20, pay them back. Go vote. Go vote.
All right, so I'm going to call for a vote. So all in favor of closing the Chota Rec Center for early voting as an ongoing practice? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? 6-0. Motion passed. Timeless Tellico. Walt? Bill? Bill's handling it. Okay.
I think you've already seen the presentation on the Pickleplex Wall of Fame, and I don't think I have to say anything else about it. We'll fund it. It'll go up as soon as we are able to complete the Pickleplex itself.
So the Wall of Fame is the actual structure, the little Pickleplex Wall of Fame thing, and as well as the pad there, correct?
The pad, yes.
That
the pad.
And the sidewalk leading to the curb.
Yes, correct. And on that Pickleplex Wall of Fame, there will be the names of all the donors who've contributed to that project, that principally the major donors for the Pickleplex.
Can I have a motion to approve the proposal from Timeless Tellico for the Wall of Fame and the accompanying sidewalk, patio, whatever you want to call it?
So moved. Second, then.
Second by Rick. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from any of the residents? Call for a vote. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Motion passed 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now you have a bonus item, I believe. Bill, I think you have a bonus item. The next one was the graphics on the front of the Pickleplex. You guys wanted that approved.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the position of Timeless Tellico is that we're not taking a position on what ought to go on there. This is a board decision, what should be on the front of the Pickleplex. So we're not taking a position on what logo should be on there.
Okay, so I'll give a little bit of more color to that if you don't mind.
Sure.
So the 2 options basically are this one which has no logo from Timeless Tellico versus the one that we saw just prior with the Timeless Tellico logo. So as a group, the pickleball people, the Timeless Tellico, Simon was there and I was there representing the board, voted at the time to have no logos because the rec committee or the rec center wanted to have a logo. pickleball club wanted to have a logo, and we're like, we don't want this to be a billboard. We want this to be basically the name of a building. So the proposal was the next one without any logos. So basically that would be it right there. So back to that other picture right there, that's what it would look like. But we do need board approval on the final graphic. So I would like a motion in that regard.
Motion to put signage on the Pickleplex that says Tellico Village with our logo emblem and underneath the word Pickleplex only.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I believe you got a better graphic too, Mitzi. That's what the graphic would look like, so you can kind of tell size-wise. But basically, that motion to approve this as the graphic that will go on the front facade of the Pickleplex.
That's the one.
Right there. Any discussion? Any discussion among residents?
The pickleball club fully supports that as an asset of the local village.
The pickleball club likes that. For all those people that are...
That's good. Timeless Tellico supports that too.
Thank you.
So there's no fist fighting after the meeting, right? Okay, good.
Well, if there is, you can referee it.
All right, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passed 6-0. Thank you. Jessica is up. Finance.
Year-to-date through August, our assessed lots is 6,850 with 662 property transfers. We have had 140 POA lots sold. We do have 122 suspended accounts. Our employee head count is sitting at 268. Our new home permits is at 225 with miscellaneous permits at 304. And tank installations is 219, which is 41 below budget. Our net income through August is 3.3 million, which is a variance, a positive variance of 3 million.
Ooh.
We can skip to golf rounds, that's fine.
Yeah, you can skip.
We can skip to that.
You can.
Revenue, division-wide, is sitting at 20,000, or 20 million, sorry. And that's 830,000 better than budget. And our expenses is right at 17 million, which is 2 million below budget right now.
Is that timing?
It is. It is. A lot of maintenance projects are getting started, you know, the last quarter of the year. For general operations, we are 228,000 better than budget on our revenue, and our expenses is at 3.1 million, which is 763,000 below budget, with most of that in salaries and benefits. It makes up that variance. Golf operations, 328,000 better than budget on their revenue, and they are 449,000 positive variance on their net income. Recreation is at 113,000 better than budget on their revenue, and 120,000 below budget on their expenses. Public Works, their revenue is 24,000 below budget, and expenses is 1.2 million below budget. We do have one project coming before the board today, and that will affect our maintenance budget. Public safety is right in line with budget. Food service, the revenue for Kahiti Grill is $25,000 better than budget year-to-date, and expenses for all of our food service locations is $34,000 below budget. Dock and RV, right now we are at $927,000 in revenue, which is $144,000 better than budget. And our expenses is at $734,000, which is $58,000 below budget. And commercial, the revenue is right in line with their budget. And the variance under expenses is maintenance. Beth did save a lot of money doing a lot of the maintenance that was required on the building in-house. Keep going. And rounds, member rounds is $10,600 better than budget year-to-date. Guest rounds is $3,000 better than budget year-to-date. Rec memberships, the August memberships for household is $1,296 versus a budget of $938. And the individual memberships is $686 versus a budget of $665. So we do have one funding request to bring before the board today. It's a maintenance request. It's for the Chota Road repair. The requested amount is $461,800. The source of funds will be the R&M reserve. The PSAC committee has recommended this project. The FAC committee has also recommended this project. And I will need a motion to fund the project from R&M and project approval.
Can I have a motion, please?
There's a motion to approve.
It's been moved and second to approve the Chota Road repair for $461,800.
With a single bid.
With a single bid. So is there any discussion?
Yeah, Clayton, and this is just a matter of curiosity. I understand all the problems we've had with Chota Road sliding. What would it have taken for that road not to have done what it did after the last one?
Well,
and I guess I'm getting to the crux of the question is, could we fix it with asphalt at a cheaper price?
I got an asphalt price. Only one person would give me a price on asphalt, and they would not guarantee to work.
Oh, that's not good.
Just like this concrete, this is a total rebuild of this street. They will take it completely down to the dirt and build it back up.
Right. And you couldn't do that with asphalt?
I got a price for asphalt, but
What
they
was the
would
price?
not want. It was $220 without any type of warranty.
How many times have we fixed this?
4.
Twice since I've been in the
We've overlaid it 4 times.
Yeah. So this will be the 5th time.
We've already spent
No,
this.
it was,
Well,
there was actually
this will be
2
the-
where they took it way down.
Yeah, that's where we kept, they had milled, the problem was they never did mill enough. And they just kept stacking asphalt and asphalt and asphalt.
Yeah.
So what happens, when we pulled cores, you've got like 4 layers of asphalt and it just won't stick together with all the numerous trucks and stuff coming through with the loads and stuff. But you said this will be the 5th time. This will be the final time. So
it will be the final time.
And you're going to guarantee that personally, right?
I'm going to go on the experience that the McKinney company has. They've done the approaches at 321 and Highway 11. It's the same company. So they come highly recommended.
So they're the only ones that bid for
Yes.
the concrete?
Yes.
And when are they going to do this project?
It would be toward the end of October. They wanted the cooler weather because the slower the concrete sets up, the better and stronger it would be.
And I do want to point out, everybody that listens to this, watches the video, pay attention to this. Please. Go tell all your friends, card groups, wine groups, shout it, go out and stand on the street and scream. Chota Road, where the marathon station is, exit to the wellness center is going to be closed for 4 to 6 weeks. There is no way around it. The alternative is one lane at a time, twice 4 to 6 weeks.
Correct. And that would be from 444 to the Village Square.
That's right.
Entrance right there.
Right.
So.
4 to 6 weeks. That's a month to a month and a half. End of October, November, into December.
And timing-wise, if you take the light into consideration, isn't that much longer to go in the other Chota
No,
entrance?
and then the next issue, when everybody gets up and gets the word around, you've talked to the fire department. Chief Jerry's all in this. We've all
I've
got
talked
the
to him.
plans.
He has some concerns, but he and I will
Right.
meet if this is approved.
We've got the alternate enter and exits. We'll be publishing those about how to get to the POA office through the church parking lot, around to Chota, around the other way. It is going to be a mess. We know it's going to be a mess. I'm telling you, I already know it's going to be a mess.
So then, as much as we all love the marathon station, does that mean no access to the marathon station at all then?
No, they can still enter and exit from the Village Square entrance. You know, when you go in there to Village
Okay,
Square.
all right.
Yeah,
So
they can come in.
that'll be accessible, as well as Beth will be the Welcome Center? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So another question I have is, I see the budget amount is 50. That's a pretty large discrepancy.
Yeah, if y'all remember last year when we were talking about this in budget time, we weren't sure what we're going to do, and somebody recommended let's just put $50,000 placeholder in there. That's all it was. We knew it was going to be far more than that, but that was just a placeholder.
When they discussed this, and that same question came up, and it basically was, we had to put a number in, we didn't know what it was going to be, so long as there was something there to keep it on as a line item, that was fine. So it looks like a big difference, and I'm sure people are questioning why it was such a big difference, but that's the reason. It was just a placeholder number, not knowing what the actual figure was going to be. Mr. White will agree with that, I think.
Well, thank you, Bob. I appreciate it.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the residents? We have one here.
Yes, ma'am. That will be in the contract because this entire project was put on them. They're engineers. They engineered it. We didn't engineer it. We didn't tell them what to do. You know, the last time we done that, it got into well, we done what they said, and the engineer said this, and so said this. So this project has been completely with McKinney Construction from engineering to completion.
So for those watching online, the question was, will this be guaranteed by the contractor?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments?
Was there any thought put into the extra lane?
Yes, we did look into that, which we have utilities in there, and we got to get permission, got to get a permit from TDOT. So McKinney is working on that, trying to get that approved. But at this time, we don't have approval yet. Yes.
So if it does get approved, does that change the price?
It would some, yes, but I mean, it wouldn't be drastically. I would, I can come back to you all. But if we decide we want to put a turn lane in, we'll have to move utilities out of that area also.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, it's a big deal because you change traffic lights, you change, everything. So.
And then the length of the project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it needed?
I mean, it's wide enough now. Some people pull over there. It's just not a designated turning lane.
Right.
But for the amount of time and money it's going to cost, I don't know.
That's what I was getting
I don't
at.
want to hold the project up.
Right. Okay. Another question.
No, sir. When you come from 444, going past the marathon, right where you turn right into Village Square. There's a double yellow line. It's right at the end of that double yellow line, 352 feet.
So, just so I understand, the light at that point will be closed?
Yes.
And you're going to move all the traffic to the other Chota Road?
Yes.
I don't know if you folks, I live in that area, exiting that other Chota Road is life-threatening. Because when you're turning left on the parkway there is a swale in the road between that point and Sequoia Road. And you always have to be mindful that if you put your car in there, it's a very dangerous intersection.
And I did mention that to them, and that will be part of their detour plan, so that will be addressed. So.
Okay. Going to call for a vote. All in favor of the 451,600, I believe it was?
461 something.
461,800, sorry. For this Chota Road repair. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? 6-0 is passed.
That was a hard right hand to raise up there, Marty.
It was. It's a lot of money.
That is going to be really, really inconvenient.
Clayton.
Yeah. So, wanted to give y'all some updates on things we got going on. There'll be some communication coming out from Beth and communications on the resurfacing of Gatto Way, Caducey Circle, Olive Healy Drive, and Utsema Way. Those were projects that y'all approved in the last board meeting. So I've been working with the asphalt company. They've got a plan. So I will go out to Beth so she can let everybody know in those areas. They won't be shut off from their homes. There'll just be construction going on. And Chota Road, that's on there. So we got that approved. We'll get the plans and information out to people so they'll know what's going on. A lot of these, we'll just hit them quick because there have been a lot of things I already talked about. The Tanasi Clubhouse fire, you know, we've moved water meters. When we got into digging into what I was going on over here, all the utilities was run under the road and under the parking lot. So it's been a big undertaking. We've had to move water lines, sewer lines, electric lines, but now we've got them all around the perimeter and stuff to where when we do build a building back, we won't be dealing with all of our utilities under the roads and under the parking lots. So as Mitzi mentioned earlier, we put a fence around it to keep people out of there. Got a water and power back onto the docks. Getting some cameras put back on the docks, so those will be secure. Just a lot of things like that. But you know, during this fire, you know, one of the things that was huge to me, and we've thanked so many people for working so hard, but I've got some pictures when the fire department got the golf carts out. They were all sitting over there, and I was like, we got to get these to my public works shop and get these secured. And I started asking people if they would help move golf carts. And when you got 20 golf carts lined up on the cart path, you know, from property owners and stuff helping you, you know, in the middle of the night, it was a big deal. So, you know, a big shout out and thanks to the property owners that just jumped in there and helped, you know. So that makes you feel good. You know, that support is there from the village. Next is Kahiti Boat Docks. We've got those in. Pat mentioned that. We'll be leasing those out by the 1st of October. Funderburk is completing the electric on those. So that'll be great to get those leased out and get that revenue coming in. We've got to pave the sidewalk and a few little things like that, but we're completing that quickly. Now, Smart Earth Technology. This is a really neat project. The board supported this last year when we explained that we wanted to do this. We'll be coming to you during budget season. This will be my biggest ticket item from Public Works, will be this Smart Earth Technology. If you're in Kahiti, you'll see we got a crew over there and they're knocking these meters out. We've put in probably 150 this week. So, you know, we're telling people that it's going to take about 30 minutes, but it's taking these guys about 5 to 10 minutes to shut the water off, change the meter, and have the water back on. So they're knocking out meters. By the end of the week, I figure we'll have 200 meters in and activated, which will be huge for Jessica, be huge for meter reading. So a great project for the village. I hope that we'll get the support to complete this project throughout Tellico Village next year for 23. Pickleplex, you know, we've talked about that. A lot of things going on up there. Clearspan will come back, put the end of the building in. They're supposed to be back on the 3rd. Fencing's going in. Courts are paved as soon as the end of the court's put in. Baseline will come back and do the walking trail, a couple more sidewalks, and paint the course, and do the landscaping rock over the French drain. But this is the project that the village can be very, very proud of. Me and Marty's talked about it, and, you know, we'll all be gone, and it'll still be there, you know, and it'll still be there, and the next generation of people will be playing, and that's great. And I'm glad to say, you know, I think it's going to be on time and under budget or right on budget. We won't be over budget, so that's exciting, that big of a project, and it's going that smoothly. Just seeing a few pictures, put a few pictures in here so y'all could see it, what it looks like from a drone and stuff. This is before it was paved. Now the fence posts are in, they're working on the fence now. So great project, something that we can all be proud of. Next is ACC and codes. I know Winston covered part of this in his report. A lot of homes going on, 326 homes under construction. That's a lot of homes, permitted 223 at the end of August. Year to date at the end of August in 21 was 226, so we're 3 under this at the end of August, which was last year. We got 2 multifamilies, so a lot going on. Just put these numbers in here so you can see the largest home under construction in Tellico Village right now is 9,800 square feet.
That's a nice home.
That's a big old home. Katie. The smallest home under construction is 1,600 square feet. So it's crazy. You know, average is about 3,200.
Do we have a minimum?
Yes, 1,200.
1,200?
Yeah. And we are reviewing our blue book and red book to do some changes and stuff. And then July through September 15th, code enforcement has addressed 106, these 4 new guys that Pat keeps talking about us hiring, and that you all allowed us to where we could have these codes guys out here. 168 violations or permit issues from July to September. So they're doing their job. They're being effective.
So these are not just homeowners, these are why we got these. These were builders and landscapers that are taking advantage of either I don't know, I didn't get a permit, I'm not doing it the right way.
Right.
And now we have next door neighbors with runoff and trash, and that's what they're catching, right?
I would dare say out of the 168, probably 150 of them has been contractors. And then the others, I feel like are honestly the majority of if it is a property owner, they just didn't know.
Right.
That's why ACC have chosen, we're working with the CAC, and we're going to start putting out some communication. Did you know? Did you know you need this permit, or did you know you need something for this? So.
Well, don't you find, and I just had a talk this weekend with a real good friend that was wanting to do something, and he called me and says, do I need a permit for? And I'm taking the position as a board member, I don't give that, because I'm not absolutely sure.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest way for every property owner in Tellico Village to have that question answered is get on HelpSpot, send in a ticket, call the ACC and ask them. They'll give you the answer.
Yep.
And the easiest question is, do I need a permit to?
Yep.
And they'll give you the answer.
Yep. And if you do, they can email you a permit.
That's right.
So that's it. Any questions?
Any questions for Clayton?
Hey, I read
Right,
something
thanks.
in the Telegram that your guys pulled a heroic effort down here at 5 Star, and I wanted to personally thank you guys for doing that, avoiding a major catastrophe of evacuating that entire facility, and thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Clayton. All right, we are to the other section of the agenda. Do I have any others from any of the board members?
In case anybody's interested, the Fed raised the rate 0.75%. Actually, I expected 1%, but.
Seeing none, any questions or comments from residents? Susan.
Thank you. I was able to determine that, yes, there are village residents under consideration for appointment onto the new landfill commission, and I'll keep you updated as I can find information.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, this meeting's adjourned.